Here we are. The Jessica Burgio show is live. And you know what's so funny today? I was supposed to record this episode in my podcast studio on Riverside, and the tech didn't work. But instead of freaking out, rescheduling it, or even like spiraling, which I did for a second because I actually tried to record an episode a couple weeks ago and Riverside wasn't working then either. I thought it was a Wi-Fi tech thing, and I just realized, you know what? This is actually the whole point of my show. This is actually the whole point of why I'm shifting focus with the podcast. Clarity doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It just doesn't. And you know that. I know that. So here we are. We're on Zoom, we're recording, and it honestly doesn't matter how you get things done sometimes. It's just about getting them done. Am I right? So this is the season of ownership. Again, welcome to the show. I'm Jessica Burgio. I have had a podcast now for over 6 years, formerly called the Unscripted Podcast. And while that was very on brand for me, I felt another shift happening in my life, in my business. And much like when I rebranded early on in my podcast career, the original name of that show was the Beauty Inspires Beauty Podcast, where, as you may or may not know, I've been an entrepreneur in the beauty industry space for almost 26 years. Yes, that's right. Your girl's about to be 45. I got into beauty school when I was 19 years old, and it's been one of the most incredible journeys in entrepreneurship that has led me down some of the most beautiful paths, exploring personal development, exploring personal training, becoming a fitness competitor myself. A lot of backstory there, but all that to share that human connection is literally my love language and the thing that lights me up the most. And so if this podcast episode can make any sort of impact in your day, in your life, maybe even in someone else's life if you share it, then my job is done here and my mission and purpose is fulfilled. So that is why I continue to podcast. I continue to show up on social media. I continue to stretch myself and grow so that hopefully by me going first, you will see that you have it in you to grow and to go first, maybe in your family, in your life, to take risks, to take chances. And in this season of ownership, we are not about hustling, right? We have been taught that we've got to go through a hustle season, and sometimes you do, but I know many of you already have. So this isn't going to be about grinding harder or, again, that hustling or that forcing shit to pop off and work. This is about taking ownership, ownership of who you are, ownership of the season that you're in. I've been talking about seasons a whole lot lately if you've been listening to the podcast for a while now. But if you're brand new, this is the season of taking ownership of what you will no longer tolerate in your life. Okay? The season of ownership where you'll no longer tolerate bullshit in your life, whether it's your own bullshit or the people around you's bullshit. Now, I know some of that can come from family, which is very hard to, you know, pull yourself away from. Some of it's out of your control. I take a lot of notes from Mel Robbins with the let them theory. Other people have to walk their walk and own their own shit. I know it's so hard to not try and control the outcomes of the people around you that you so deeply care about. I feel that to my core right now. That is the season that I am in. I have two brothers that are both struggling with addiction right now. I never thought that would be a part of my story. I have had past relationships where partners dealt with addiction. So this is a very real thing for me and a very hard season to navigate because I truly want to help people. I want to solve problems. I want to fix things. But when life is falling apart all around you, whether it's your own actual life or around you, it's not because you're doing something wrong. It feels like it's falling apart because things are being rearranged for you. I don't know if you believe in God, spirit, the universe, a higher power, if you're spiritual at all, but I really believe that so much of what goes on around us is meant to teach us life lessons. It's meant to help us understand why we're even here. It's meant to help us find our passion and purpose, whether it's through your own pain and experiences or somebody else's pain and experiences. And fuck, is it uncomfortable as hell or what? I mean, like, I am sitting in some of the most uncomfortable times of my entire adult life. As a child, there was a lot of isolation for me. I had two parents that worked a lot and didn't really know how to manage a kid and the emotions that come from a child. And so for many years, I struggled to share my emotions, to share how I was feeling. And so later on in life, that wasn't a skill set that I had. I would shut people out. I would be very cold, and that didn't help me. develop real friendships and to get vulnerable and to be authentic. There was a lot of performing that happened in my life. There's still a lot of performing that I find myself doing at times. I see it in my mom. And so I know where it came from. And I know that when we know better, then we can do better. And we're taught that if things aren't working, it must mean that we're either behind or we've done something wrong. And so many of us can look back at things that didn't work out or risks that we took or chances that we had that we missed and feel confused. Like, how did I miss that? How did I fuck that up? I must be failing at this thing called life. I'm just not as far ahead as some other people who are maybe in your same industry or other parents that are doing things differently, or my bank account doesn't represent all of the hard work that I've done over the years and the time and effort I've put in. That's if momentum slows down, we feel like sometimes we have to push harder. But some seasons, truly, I've noticed, are not about speed. They're about stripping things down. And if you've been following me on social media lately, you see some of my posts have been going viral. And over the last 5 days, my account has grown by 1,500 followers, which has never happened before. Except for the one time I paid for followers when I first got on Instagram way back when, like 8, 9 years ago. And that was not helpful. Just so you know, FYI. This has been about trial and error through sharing different things on social media, but it's about pulling the curtain back on how I actually want to show up. I actually took a pause season, one from the podcast for a couple of weeks. I haven't launched an episode in a couple of weeks, and also from sharing on social media. Sometimes we have to back up and go more high level to get outside of ourselves, outside of our head, so that we can really prepare for what's coming. And nobody really tells you that part. No one really like preps you for that. But again, some seasons aren't about speed. They're about pulling things back, looking at the simplicity of how you're really maybe being required to show up right now. And a lot of these like particular seasons are where life doesn't give you the answers. It maybe takes away distractions. And that's where I'm having to get really discerning that some of these things in my personal life have been major distractions that have been a detriment to my business and my own personal life. And so when I quiet the noise, like every Friday I go to yoga, it's where I literally can quiet the noise and all of that shit kind of fades off and the cortisol in your body can slowly like ease out and you can actually feel what's going on. You can start to feel and re-see your vision and know that it probably still exists. I know we all have a vision and a purpose and a mission. It might seem like it's not big enough because you're comparing yourself to someone else's mission and vision. But I know that you have a vision. I know that you have a mission. If you're listening to a podcast like this, if you've been in my world, you are trying to get somewhere. You are trying to accomplish something. You are trying to create some level of success in your life or business. I know you are because that's why you're here. That's why you're listening to podcasts. Whenever I think about listening to a podcast, it's because I either need to learn something, get some value, feel seen and heard. It's usually not when I'm in my most happy, elated state where I'm like, oh my God, I want to listen to a podcast today. I'm in such a good mood. It's the exact opposite. We lean into education, books, podcasts, because we are feeling like we need to connect. And that's the power of this one-to-one platform is I'm one-to-one connecting with you right now. Either you're driving your car or you're on your walk or you're probably alone. It's just me and you. And I value your time so much that I want to make sure that these episodes really do give you some sense of redirection, either just for today or to remind you that these seasons are normal and that what you're feeling, what you're going through, what you're growing through is normal. So if at one point you were super excited about what you were building in your business and that excitement's kind of worn off, but you can really find that vision again still and know that it still exists, it may feel really far off and maybe it's a little foggy and you're in that fog season right now. And instead of clarity, you're left with just yourself. You don't have the excitement of like building the thing because you can't see it. You're in that fog and it's just you and you. And that's the season that people really try to escape. They outsource, they distract, they get involved with politics, they start putting themselves in rooms where they wouldn't have gotten into if they had been really focused on their soul's mission. If we are all here doing the thing we're meant to be doing, the world would be a better place. But instead of doing what you know you're supposed to be doing and focusing on what you're supposed to be focusing on, that channeled message from God, that knowingness deep inside your stomach, that rootedness in your soul, you're letting the world distract you, that chaos, and take you out. So you're more focused on yapping about the bullshit in the political landscape right now, or the crazy shit that's going on with ICE, or a variety of different things that will make you literally forget why you're here. And maybe your mission changes. Maybe you decide all of a sudden that these politics matter more than your mission or vision. That could be true too. I'm the type of person that two opposite things can be true at once. For me, for other people, and that's why this is a space of non-judgment, but it's also again reminding you that sometimes you don't get the answers you're seeking. When the noise fades, when that excitement wears off, when the vision still exists but it feels super vague and far away, I'm telling you, this is when people try to distract. They'll add more shit on their plate, they'll scroll more. Okay? Am I calling you out right now? They chase new plans, new strategies, new identities. But what if, okay, hang with me for a second. What if nothing is wrong? What if this isn't punishment or delay, but you are just being prepared for something bigger? Ownership is not about controlling outcomes. Okay, I'm going to say that again. Ownership is not about controlling outcomes. It's about telling the truth about where you actually are without making yourself wrong for it. I literally was beating myself up just a couple months ago because I have, in my own terms, my own verbiage, sacrificed a lot to build this strong of a relationship that I have with my husband now in order to have that foundation so solid that now I can go run and chase and focus on my business dreams and goals. My family had to come first. Otherwise, nothing else was going to feel fulfilling. I could be making the money, having the 6, 7 figure business, but if my relationship at home was shit and we were constantly arguing over, quality time being spent, carving out date night, all of those things, my son going through breaking his leg twice, being available for that season, my bank account took a hit. My momentum slowed down. Some things started to feel like, this part of my life isn't working for me anymore. Maybe I should quit the podcast. It's taking up too much time. Basic shit. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. Even some of this, like, I've outgrown it. Maybe like my presence needs to be elsewhere and not focused on the podcast. So, yeah, I don't have all the answers yet, and I'm not going to rush them. And that's when I took a little pause. And that's when clarity really started to come through. And that's where I actually saw the bigger vision for not only my show, but my personal brand, how I'm going to show up on social media, what rooms I'm going to intentionally stay out of. Did you hear me? What rooms and people I'm intentionally going to stay away from and out of. Because you see, sometimes it's not about what you do, it's about what you don't do, right? You know that saying, less is more. I helped my son edit his paper that he wrote last night, and we took out a bunch of stuff because I said, less sometimes is more. Same within the hair world, right? We can create a big impact with less than we think. But all of that to say, these seasons aren't showing our weaknesses. It's, I think, honestly, like a form of maturity. Realizing that you don't have to put out all the fires, you don't have to be everywhere, you don't have to do all the things. You're not responsible for everybody around you and then some. You're not responsible for people shifting and changing on you. If things start to become toxic in situations that prior they were not, but all of a sudden they are, it's on you to make that change. It's on you to take ownership and choose the responsibility without punishing yourself for not being able to fix something. It's deciding who you're going to be in the middle of maybe uncertainty or uncomfortableness. And I've lived with this countless times, not just right now in this season, but I think I'm becoming more attuned to when it's starting to happen, how I can play a different role in it and what my responsibility is to myself to protect my energy, to protect my nervous system, and to regulate when I need to, which is taking a lot of walks, going to yoga every Friday, non-negotiable, and eating healthy. I've cut out alcohol this year. And that was pretty easy to do this year because I have, like I said, two brothers struggling with addiction. And I have an alcoholic background with my son's father, who's now sober, thank God. It's also something that's affected my husband's family. So it seemed like the easiest thing that I could control. It's the whole thing, like I said, with Mel Robbins. I'm letting them do what they got to do because no one's going to get sober or take action or make changes unless they fucking want to. And what I want to do is protect my energy, feel like my best self. I'm way more clear-headed. I'm way more stabilized when it comes to my emotions. I feel way more regulated. I wish I was sleeping better. I think I'm this age, I need to be getting on some hormone replacement creams at this point with progesterone. And so any of my girlies out there that do the peptides, hit me up. I need to get on some shit because your girl needs to sleep. But also I know I'm not sleeping because there's a lot on my mind, but it's where you start to feel disconnected and exhausted. And when you're disconnected and exhausted, what does that lead to? Confusion. You're confused. Should I be here? Should I be there? Should I quit my job so I could take care of my family? You know, the things that used to light you up don't light you up anymore. You start to question, like, what the fuck is going on? And instead of thinking, like, maybe what used to work isn't working for a reason now, they start to feel a little bit heavy instead of exciting, right? Like, again, the podcast started to feel heavy. It started to feel like a burden, like a chore. But I fucking love podcasting. I love talking to you guys. I love creating perspective shifts in your day. I love taking what I learn from the conversations I have with my coaching clients and my behind the chair clients and the things I learn on social media and the rooms that I put myself in and sharing those perspectives with you so that you feel some sense of belonging on a day where maybe everything is feeling so fucked up. So, what I did, I simplified. By taking ownership, I simplified and I got really, really quiet. And those walks that I take help me. Like I said, the yoga. And I really stopped chasing the clarity and started just protecting my peace. I was like, if I can feel it more ease and peace, I guarantee the clarity is going to come. I stopped asking myself, what should I do next? What's the next thing I should create? And started asking better questions, right? That's the key. Ask better questions. Who is this season asking me to become? We've heard this on so many other people's podcasts. I've heard this in different rooms talking about identity, but that question changes everything. Who is this season asking me to become? Not what's happening, what's wrong with me, right? Because some of the most powerful moves are not about doing more. It's just about raising your standards and setting boundaries. I had to have this really hard conversation with my mom because as a mother myself, she's become an enabler to my brothers. And I gave her a really hard time about it last year. And I remember her, kind of retaliating back to me, being like, if it was Kai, you would be doing the same thing. And, that immediately shut me up. And I was like, you're probably right. I probably would do whatever I could, whether it was financially helping them or continuing to let them do what they got to do and not shutting them out and not really, giving them an ultimatum. Because ultimately, I don't know that that works fully, but I do know that now it's been over a year of my poor mom dealing with a lot of this stuff and us as a family struggling with this. But by her now hitting her wit's end, she's raising her standards on tolerance. We all have different, tolerance levels. And that's why some people can be in different types of situations and be just fine. Whereas you'll look at that situation and be like, that fucking relationship's crazy. I could never be in a relationship like that. I could never run a business like that. Again, we all have different tolerance levels and we all have different risk, adversity, and all of those things. So again, this is about ownership of you and where you are at. This isn't always about me, but I share my stories because I want you to know that you're not alone. And if you listen to the show, you clearly want to know what's going on in my life, right? But again, sometimes the most powerful move isn't doing more. It's raising your standards for how you treat yourself, for what you allow into your space, what you say yes to, just to stay busy. I see you. I know you're doing it. I used to do it all the time. This season is truly going to be about building a bigger life. It's about building one that's more true to who you are, again, in this season. And if you're listening to this and thinking like, oof, I'm between like different versions of myself, good, good. That means you're not numb. You're awake to what's going on. It means that you're paying attention. It means that something is happening right now. And I'm watching in real time a few of my clients go through this. And every time they feel like a trigger or a block kind of come through or a fear, they're able to talk it out with me in our coaching sessions and ask, is this a fear? Is this a block? Do you think I'm being triggered? And because I've been in the game for so long, because I've put myself in so many big rooms and I've been around so many high level people who seemingly, if you look at them on social media, have it all together. But I truly know what's going on behind the scenes. And so I can share those stories with my clients. And I do. I get very real, raw, and vulnerable about what I know to be true for other people, especially in the online space, who are presenting as if they are 7 and 8 figure earners. They have it all together. Life is so great, right? While behind the scenes, life has crumbled or is crumbling, or they had a stroke because they were so off out of regulation and their body shut down, right? I've watched people I know age severely quickly based on the life they were trying to build based on performance. And again, if you are thinking like, shit, I've done a lot of that stuff. I've let my self-care go. I'm not taking care of this. This is a wake-up call. If you are feeling numb, like you don't have a clue, you're not tapped in, you're not tuned in, you're not feeling into your body, you're not having those moments of, questioning and asking yourself, you need to sit and find that quiet space and maybe numb out or quiet out some of the noise. Take some things off your to-do list. You don't need to create a whole ass plan right now, but you do need to get a high level view of what is keeping you from taking full blown ownership of what you're going to build this year based on your capacity, based on the season that you're in. All you need is self trust. You need honesty, and you need to stop rushing the outcome because you're in that becoming season. You're in that identity shift season, and it can feel very uncomfortable. This show isn't here to hype you or tell you to manifest harder, okay? This is not that type of show. If you're done with the chaos and the noise, the pressure, and these fake fucking timelines, that's for a whole nother episode. Stay with me because this is a season of ownership and we're just getting started. So if you're here for it, follow the podcast, subscribe to it on Apple or Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts, and let me know what hit for you on this episode because I know that I'm not the only one going through these things. These are the literal conversations I'm having with my one-on-one clients, which is my life's work, is to work one-on-one with clients. As a projector, I am meant to be the guide. I did not ask for this life. I did not ask for this role. It was given to me, and I fought it. I fought it as hard as I could. But there is just an intuitiveness and an emotional component to who I am, where I have the capability to hold a massive amount of space for other people working through the seasons of life that they are in and deciphering what they're saying from what they truly want in their life and business, and then helping them take decisive action. That is the ethos of my business and what this podcast stands for, and what I hope to do each and every time you either open up Instagram and see me rambling and yapping at you, the posts that I share on social media, and the content that I'm putting out on this podcast. I'm sending you so much love. I hope 2026 is treating you pretty well. But if you're going through this growth season, maybe listen to this episode one more time and really sit with the season that you're in. How can you take ownership? And what are you going to do to change the game for yourself this year? Woo! Yes, I'm feeling it. I'm sending you guys so much love. Again, if you love the podcast, you know what to do. Ratings and reviews mean literally the absolute world to me. It is the biggest gift you can give a content creator. So if you love the episode, let me know. If you're sitting with something and you want some more deep dive help, hit me up about my one-to-one coaching. All my spots are full right now, but if you are interested, I will be opening up another container in the next couple of weeks to take on just a handful more clients, because ultimately my goal is to help you move the needle, take action, and soar.